Awesome. We're live. It is Tuesday, June 7th. I can't believe it. This month is already a weekend, and it's time for Coffee with Tim. I hope you guys have had a great week so far. I'm going to start by going through some of the new things that were added, and then I'll be just answering your questions. So let's get started. So one of the first new things that were added just the other day is something that was not yet significant. When you're in a client, I'm just going to go to a test client real quick. I'm going to pull up one of my clients. When you would go to their invoices tab, whether they were like in an event or a client, if you went to create a new invoice, it would redirect you all the way to the invoices module and then pop up the window, which was fine. But what I didn't think about was the fact that it was showing all of the listing of invoices for every client. And if you were just happen to be building an invoice in front of a client, that's kind of unprofessional. So now it just pops it right up and will auto select the client that you're creating it from, or the event, or wherever you're adding this invoice from. It'll automatically populate that for you. So now you won't have to be redirected to a whole nother, to the invoices module. So that's one new one. Another really cool thing that I added that we just didn't have before. In the vendors module, you could go up to actions and now import. And before you just had to send your file to us, but now you can do all the vendor importing yourself. So super easy. No need to get into that. Also, another really cool thing, I'm going to go to my questionnaires real quick to show you. I'm going to launch this questionnaire. And you'll see here down at the bottom, there are these vendor fields. Now, when your clients are filling these out and answering your questions with their vendor information, if you already have in your to just select it, and it will auto-populate all the information and then save behind the scenes this vendor's ID. So that way, once they fill it all out, you're not getting duplicate vendors created in your system, and then you have to delete and all that stuff. So now, number one, it's saving your client a whole bunch of time. You already have that vendor. I don't know about you, but where I am here in New Jersey, there's a lot of vendor factories, if you will, or wedding venue factories, basically, where, so many people go to those venues for their weddings and events and stuff like that. And it would just save you time and your client's time just to be able to just start typing the name of the venue or the vendor, and it just automatically populates all the information. So that's just a huge time saver, and thing to cause less pain, which is always good. So, yep, that's another good one. And just one that was added today. When you're in a client's profile, pull up this client real quick. When you would click Add Event, just a little tiny mini event add field form would show up. It just had just a few fields: name, time, date, and the type. That was basically it. Just really simple. Now, when you click Add, you get Add Event form, just like you would if you were adding it from the events module. So you get start and end times, notes, basically all the fields, and it's not this tiny little form that you can't really see. it's a nice little modal dialogue. So those are at least the newest things since the last Coffee with Tim that were added in, as well as just a bunch of bug fixes and stuff like that. So for today, it is totally open to whatever you have a question about. If anyone has any questions or wants to see something, I don't really have anything else prepared for topics to go into, but I'm happy to show or talk about whatever you guys want to see or hear. So feel free in the group chat or the Q&A section just to ask a real quick question. I'm happy to answer it. Actually, one thing that I can show, since there aren't any questions, we haven't really gone into timelines or timeline templates in these Coffee with Tim sessions. So I'm just going to go to a timeline template, just so you can kind of see kind of what it is and what makes it. So timelines are exactly what you think they are. They are basically the timeline of the day of an event that you're shooting. So in this case, a wedding day timeline. And basically you just give it a name and a description, and then you add the different items of that day that are typical, because this is just a template. So you can just set a, like a little default start and end time and kind of build it all out how you would normally do, a timeline for a day, like of a typical wedding. And then when you're inside of an event, so I'm just going to go to these little dummy events I created today. I'm going to go to this timelines tab, and I'll hit add timeline, and I'll choose it from that template that I was just using. Hit save. And what you'll see here is it takes all of those templated items and then plugs them in here, and I can change my view to show even more specific time intervals, especially for these closer ones that were after the other. If you have it in 15 or 30 minute, they'll just look, almost too hard to read, basically. So, which is good that we have the little tooltip there. But you can drag and drop to adjust the time, like click and drag to adjust the start and end times, or you can click over here on these items and change the times here. And then what's really cool is if you've added locations to your event. So I'm just going to go and add a bunch of locations from master locations that I've shot at before. So I'm just going to populate this with a bunch of them. In my timeline, I can say, okay, this is the getting ready timeline. And all I can do now is say, okay, they're getting ready at Bogies. I mean, obviously they're not, but and now that location is saved for that time entry. And when I print out the PDF, where I need to be in this timeline, and I can, send it to my shooters and vendors and, pretty much anyone who is working on this event. So, so yeah, that's event timelines. Obviously, I just showed it like crazy super fast, but it's pretty self-explanatory. And if you're adding a whole bunch of items not in the order that they should happen, you can easily hit this little order chronologically, and it'll resort them all in chronological order for you. Just, if you're just adding them as you go. So we have a question. So Andrew's question is, in the booking pages, is there a way to have a question form for clients to fill out on the booking page? So right now, the booking page just asks pretty much just basic information. On my list to create is the way that you can add, like basically you can choose which fields it shows, and also add custom fields to it. But right now that checkout form is just basic name, email, phone, and address. So yeah, so right now you can't, but you will be able to once I finish adding that new the new update to it. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Andrew. Does anyone else have any other questions they want or things they want to see? So Andrew has another question about booking pages. Do booking pages only pull info from Google Calendar, or can it also pull from iCalendar? Right now, each service can only pull from Google. So when you go to your service settings and then go to advanced, you just tell it which Google Calendar you want to pull the availability from. So if you only have, an iCal feed, what you could do is just create a test Google Calendar account and import, or I guess really subscribe to your iCal calendar in your Google Calendar account, and then just sync Pixify to that Google Calendar account, because then you'll be able to just pull right from that Google Calendar, which is really just your iCal. So yeah, obviously that's a workaround, but there is no direct integration with iCal in the booking pages. Okay, great. So I got another question from Andrew. Andrew, you were just firing away. This is awesome, dude. So his other question is, does Pixify integrate with website contact forms to auto input leads from websites? Absolutely. What you'll do is you go over to settings and then to external integrations. And if you're keeping the existing contact form on your website, just have it send a copy of the results to this unique email address in your account. And then it will take the email that it gets sent and just kind of parse it for information to create a lead from it. Now, you could definitely use our built-in inquiry forms and embed those on your website. When you go to settings, brands, and then choose the brand that you want to use the inquiry form for. And then over here on the inquiry fields tab, you can just grab this link and just embed it. I was doing a custom CSS test for somebody. I forgot about that. You could easily embed that. But if you love the contact form you currently have and you just want to have it also create a lead from it, just go to settings and external, and then yeah, use that unique email address. If you have more questions, keep firing them away. It's great. I'm glad that I can answer them for you. If there's no other questions, I'm just going to go into one other thing that someone brought up the other day. They were just a little bit confused about. When you go to settings and lists and types, there's all different, I'll just go to the actual module itself. There's a whole bunch of different categories in here. You know, categories, reasons, statuses, categories, types, reminders, all that kind of stuff. The beauty of this kind of area is that instead of going to each module, you have them kind of all in one spot. And what I wanted to show you is the difference between a payment term template and a payment reminder template. Just some people were confused about that. Oh, we also have another question. So before I get into that, I'll just answer this question. Are there auto emails that can be sent as part of a workflow, or do all emails have to be sent manually? No. Oh my gosh. Our workflow is awesome. So Andrew, I'll go to templates here and then workflow templates. And I'll just show you the beauty of it. Okay. Wedding workflow template here. And so here I've got a whole bunch of different phases. I clicked add a phase, and there's a whole bunch of phases in here. And each phase I've added a bunch of tasks to. In this engagement session phase, you'll also notice that there's this actions section where I have an email, a questionnaire, and then 2 more emails. These emails, because they're part of this phase, they won't be sent until I've completed all the tasks in this phase. So these ones are, you know, pretty much manually sent once you complete all these tasks. But up here in this automatic items section, anything you add in here, as soon as you apply the workflow to the event or the project, these will get scheduled. And so here I have an automatic item. Basically, it's going to send this email template 2 days after the event at 11 a.m. and I'm going to send it to my clients. I could also send it to the staff members assigned to the event or the vendors, you know, whatever I want to send this email to. It'll just let them know 2 days after. I'll send some really nice email. And here I've got this wedding day timeline questionnaire that's automatically sent. So I say, here, send this questionnaire, the wedding day timeline. Here's the email that I want to send with it, because the email has to have the link to the actual questionnaire itself. Has to have that variable or token, which I could show you in another tab if you want. And I said, hey, send this questionnaire automatically 2 weeks after they book the date and send it at 10 a.m. And so all of these different items that I have in here will be automatically scheduled as soon as I apply this workflow to the event. So I won't have to worry about, you know, trying to remember, oh, I need to send that event reminder to all the vendors, and oh, I need to make sure I send that questionnaire to my clients. Like it's all, it all happens automatically as soon as you add it. So it's a beautiful thing. I love workflow. Definitely makes things so much easier. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Okay, so let's go into the difference between payment terms, and I'll stop doing this if there's another question. But here's the difference between payment terms and payment reminders. I guess I'll start with payment terms first. So a payment term template, and just for review, you can go find it in settings, lists and types, and then payment terms right here. what you do is you create a payment term template, and then in that template, you add multiple payments, or just one in case you just want to do one. But most people use this for splitting an invoice balance into multiple payments. And so when you add a payment template, you choose how you want it to split up the payments. So in this first example, I said at the first payment that I want to be generated is 20% and generate it 1 day after the invoice is sent. You could even do 0 days and it'll be automatic, and that will be the first payment that they're required to pay, like when booking on a booking page or a proposal or something like that. And then I said, okay, and then the second payment that I want it split into, just make this one, that last one, the remaining balance, and make that payment due 2 weeks before the event date. And so when I apply this payment term to an invoice, or have a proposal automatically do it, or a booking page automatically do it, it will take the invoice balance and then generate 2 payments from it. Here we've got a different one. This one is the first payment I want to be $800, no matter what the invoice amount is, and then split it into 3 different payments. And then there's this one, which does it. This is like a new way of doing it. You basically say, in this one, I have the first payment as 20%, and then there's this new option, split into equal payments. And basically, I choose how many payments I want to be split into. So this one is going to be split into 3 equal payments for everything that's after this 20%. So basically, there'll be 4 total payments on the invoice, and it's going to split after this retainer or deposit. Then it's going to split the remaining balance into 3 payments. And of the 3, make the final one due 2 weeks before the event. So by the time, for this invoice, I want to make sure that all 3 of these other payments, the last one is due 2 weeks before. And then you choose the frequency between each one. So starting with the very last one that's due 2 weeks before the event, then generate the next one 2 weeks before that, or 2 months before that, or 5 months or 4 weeks, whatever you want. And then the other one 2 weeks before that. So it kind of moves backwards from the final payment due date. Okay, so we just went over payment terms. So how do you split up an invoice into payments? But we didn't go over payment reminders. And so payment reminders, when you set up a template, you can then add reminders to that template. And each of these reminders is an email that's just letting them know, hey, your payment's due. And so you add a reminder, and this one will say, here, send this email template 4 days before the actual payment is due. Send this one 8 days after it's due, and send this one 20 days after it's due. And the cool thing about that is when you create your payment terms, you can also say, now schedule these payment reminders as soon as it creates this payment. Let me just go to a test invoice real fast to show you. Just grab like the latest one. Whoops, I clicked too many times. That doesn't matter. So here in the bottom, I'm just going to delete these old payments. This is just a bunch of demo stuff. I'm going to click Add Auto Payments and generate from this one. And you'll see this payment reminder generates 3 reminders for that one payment. And you'll see in here now in this payment, and obviously because this one was due in 2013, this little demo one, all these payment reminder due in 2013 as well. So they're going to send right away unless I delete them all. But the cool thing is, as soon as that payment is marked paid, then it won't send any more of these reminders. So you won't have to worry about the system and say, hey, your payment's due, if it's really already been paid. So that's why I have this reminder sent 4 days before it's due, but this one sent 8 days after it's due and 20 days after it's due. These two will get canceled if it automatically gets, if it's already marked as paid, but at least I have these two backup reminder emails in case they don't pay on time. It'll remind them to make their payment. So yeah, hopefully that kind of helps demystify the payment reminder versus payment term template. For contracts, I see another question. For contracts added to booking pages, are these sent as emails to the client, or are they signed upon booking right on the booking page? Yes. So on the booking page, if you add a contract here, let me just go to my booking page real quick just to show you. Test booking page. And I'm just going to edit one of the services here. Contract template here. I'm not going to be sending it actually to my client at all, unless booking page settings, go up to edit, and then approve orders, set that to no. Each order has to be approved before actually booking it. Then technically you would be sending them the contract. But since I have it set to yes, then automatically when they check out on the booking page, it'll prompt them to sign a contract. And then over here, I also have it set to automatically apply a workflow template, set up some event reminders and invoice reminders, and how to split up the payment. And template has all of those automatic items set up, then you technically wouldn't even need the event reminder template here. Some people just don't use workflow. So I have it here as well, just for convenience. And then let's see. Oh, there's another question. Are there auto invoice reminders? Oh, will they pay your invoice? So you could set up invoice reminders or payment reminders that have just a lot of reminders built into them, but there isn't one in Pixify where it just keeps every 5 days, every 7 days until it's paid. So you would just in here just keep adding more reminders. You could literally have it remind them every single day for a month straight if you wanted to. You just determine in your payment reminder how many emails you want to schedule it to send until it's marked paid. So the worst thing would be if I had one of those settings where it just keeps reminding and it turns out you just forgot to, update a payment because you received it as a check, or your client and kept, harassing them. That would just be a really bad situation. So I don't have any automatically do that. You would just have to set it up and tell it how many reminders you want it to send. Cool. I forgot to mention these workflows. So inside of Pixify, if you go to settings and sharing, you have a Pixify group and with other colleagues and stuff that use Pixify, and they share workflows and questionnaire templates and all kinds of cool stuff with you. That's what our Facebook group is all about, really. Just go up to this little question mark and then go to Facebook support group. And if you haven't joined, please join. But one thing to note that Ryan reminded me is if you hit share on this flow and I go, will send them all of the phases and tasks, but none automatic items or emails, just because those don't exist in their account. So it doesn't transfer over. So just want to make sure that I mentioned that, just so that, if you go to share one, it's not like, wait, how come I don't have all the emails? What's going on here? So yeah, that's why they just don't transfer over. Does anyone else? Can I show something else? Feel free to ask. Thing that people are using, but I always find really helpful is this little Thunderbolt, Lightning Bolt, whatever you want to call it. Harry, basically, this is a great way from any page to client. Or you want to create, just so that if you're, on a different page, you could do that. You can start tracking time from any page as well. Just start a timer and start tracking time for an event or a project. That's definitely a time saver, so you don't have to worry about, if I wanted to add a client, I would have to go to clients, contacts, clients, and then click on the add client button. Click it and go. So. If there are no other questions, then I'm just going to wrap this up for today. But, feel free to post your question real quick if you have another one. Give it like 1 more minute. Of course, this Coffee with Tim wouldn't be complete in that you should edit your dashboard. Go over here to dashboard and then edit dashboard, and then drag and drop to your dashboard widgets, and then change the sort order of how you want them to show up. Yeah, make sure you edit it just so you get a nice customized view of exactly what you want to see in your account. So Carla just asked a question. Can you add a tip using Square? Unfortunately, the invoicing and payments in Pixify doesn't allow you to add a tip. So yeah, there isn't that option from in here. But if you're doing it in person using their app, yeah, then you could definitely have them add a tip. And then if you did use their app, you would just remember to go in to that invoice in Pixify and just add the payment manually, payment that was swiped. Well, I hope you guys all have an amazing rest of your Tuesdays. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the Facebook group. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next Coffee with Tim. All right. Have a great day. See you later.